I feel more alive here than I've ever felt in my life before.
I couldn't show my feelings. I couldn't show when I was scared. I couldn't tell people that I was scared. I couldn't just tell someone that I was scared. And like that was the first thing I needed to do.
If you can't honestly say to somebody what you feel about them, then you stop yourself, and you know it just builds up and builds up, and I just know it makes me feel really bad.
You know, like sort of the newspaper reported, it just seems like they've nicknamed us the Screamers, but I'd never heard us being called that before. And like, they never came here and to see us or anything.
Of course, not everybody in Burtonport is happy with their new neighbours. They've been condemned from the pulpit, and some are apprehensive. Mr. Hugh Boyle lives beside the house now known as Atlantis.
I would prefer to see them out of Burtonport. I don't think there's any room for them in Burtonport. They're a nuisance, and as I say, I can't live here because I'm so close to them. I can lie in bed at night and listen to them, listen to this horrible screaming, and it is really horrible when you hear it in the middle of the night.
Come on, come on.
Present-day society and the stress and strain of everyday living has brought with it a lot of new and complex mental problems. The people who live here are typical products of this society. For most of them, their problems began in childhood, and their inability to cope stayed with them as they grew up. Phelan Burke from Galway worked at Dublin's Botanical Gardens.
I was dreaming about someplace like here. I was dreaming about someplace where I could really enjoy being with animals and plants and people and just really enjoy them. And I really wanted to get away from. I really felt I wanted someplace different than just the pollution of the city. And like I'd been trained in university to. You know, I'd gone through university, I got a degree in university, and I didn't want to teach because I knew that I just couldn't I just felt that the whole system of teaching had made me like I am, unable to come out. Like the child in me had been so suppressed and so stopped from feeling and showing my feelings by teachers, by the Christian brothers, by my parents, that I just wasn't able to, wouldn't go into the same system again.
I just lived on my own most of the time and lived in bed sits, and I moved about for a number of years and just sort of left alone. I was just really alone, and somehow I was so desperate that I couldn't sort of get the friendship that I wanted.
Yeah, it was my childhood. Like I just didn't get any warmth. I just cut off from people, and I just couldn't let them in, and I just withheld, and I just stayed in myself. And it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And I just felt miserable all the time.
Yeah, what happens is that when you're hurt really bad as a child, when you're stopped from crying or when you're hit, all the things that happen to you and me and everyone, it's nothing, there's nothing special about the people who come here. I just feel that everywhere over our part of the world, there's just, the children are just not allowed to be themselves. Society just isn't geared to that anymore.
Oh. What they did to me was just made me really, really scared. And my parents didn't think it was strange because, like, they beat me when I didn't do what I was told either. So I just felt there was no one that I could go to show my feelings to. So I just stopped showing my feelings. I felt there was no point. I felt what they did to me was to make me into a totally passive person, unable to be angry about being beaten, unable to be sad about being beaten, because the other boys would laugh at me if I showed my hurt, or if I showed my anger at being hurt, I'd be beaten more. So, like, no matter which way I came out, I would still be pressed back in by being further suppressed and beaten. So neither my parents nor the teachers, both of them were the same. Both of them did the same things. So, like, there was no way of me coming out. There was no one that I could go to show my feelings to.
They're just held back all the time in schools. They can't run because the roads are so dangerous. There's hardly any gardens or parks to play in. Mothers are really frustrated and taking it out on the kids. Fathers are really bored and fed up at work and come home and take it out on the kids. It is, the world today isn't built for children.
Which is 100 times better than 100 times better than 100 times better than 100 times better than. Oh. hundred times better.